Last Epoch has been a source of great fun for many hours so far. It has tons of fantastic ideas and features, and as a result, quickly became my favorite ARPG to play these days. But as is the case with any video game, not all is perfect with Last Epoch. And so today I thought we could discuss the elements of the game that could use improvements to further enhance our experience in the game. This video focuses on rather negative aspects of Last Epoch, but is created in a good faith and approach. After all, I enjoyed this game a lot and I wish for it to become even more successful and a better title with time. So here is my list of 5 things that definitely need improvement in Last Epoch. First, the damage from the other side of the map needs to go. I think most of you would agree with me that the damage out of screen is not a rewarding mechanic in ARPGs. It's irritating, feels cheap and unfair at times. I find it extremely infuriating to get smacked with a powerful AoE attacks by enemies who are nowhere near my location. Now, I am fine with some damage in the game coming from mobs located a little bit outside of my screen. I can work with that. But it's so annoying to get nuked in one shot by a mob located on the other side of the monolith map. This is particularly problematic with the amount of visual effects we have on the screen, especially for more flashy builds like Runemaster's special effects spam with invocations based builds. So I would love to see this mechanic go away in Last Epoch. The damage out of screen does not add any depth to the gameplay. It does not make me a better ARPG gamer, nor is it something that I can spec towards using in-game tools. Damage out of screen also punishes us for just stopping for a moment to check out the loot or potentially sort out our inventory. All in all, it's not a cool feature at all, it gotta go. Next, we got to talk about Last Epoch's performance. I have a decent rig with Ryzen 7 5800X, Nvidia 3070 and 32GB RAM. When not much is happening on the screen, I get a nice and stable FPS of approximately 140 plus. Sometimes, even when a lot of things are happening on the screen, I can maintain nice and steady FPS of 80-90. But with certain maps and character builds, my FPS tanks to really annoying lows. Getting 30 or 40 FPS when spamming Runemaster's Frost Claws with Elemental Novas popping all over the place is really not much fun. I mean, the build is fun, but it's very annoying to play with such FPS, right? And it's not my rig or the settings. In fact, lowering my settings does fuck all to boost the performance. And it's not only me. I've seen a lot of players complaining about the game's performance or lack of impact from settings changes on game's FPS. So naturally it has to do with the game's optimization. I read somewhere that it's generally a problem with games developed on Unity, but I know nothing about coding games, so I cannot comment on that. I hope 11th Hour Games will look into improving the game's optimization. To be fair, they made big improvements over the years. The game was in a way worse shape in terms of FPS on certain maps or while using specific character abilities in the past. But further upgrades are absolutely needed for players to fully enjoy the game. Next, we got to talk about the arena. Currently, arena is the least rewarding activity in the endgame in Last Epoch. Besides leaderboards, unique loot drops, and changing the pace, there's no real reason to run arena right now. The amount of loot you get from arena is inefficient considering the time it takes to get it. Experience is decent in arena, but you can get similar amount if not more while running monoliths. Plus you get more loot there, so why would you bother with arena? So what is the problem with the arena? I believe it's the flow and the structure of this game mode. There are enemies who crawl at the snail's pace. Yes, I am looking at you, Drown Husks. This is especially problematic due to the design of some of the arena maps. Most of them are just way too big, leading to a frequent downtime of you running around looking for last mobs in the wave. I wish all arena maps were as concise and packed like the maps for arena's champions are. The last 10 waves before the champion go so damn well, it's a breeze. So please, developers, shrink the maps, get rid or speed up slow as hell enemies, improve the loot, and perhaps add some unique reward just like you did with the dungeons. All these improvements could lead to Arena being a more viable option as an endgame activity in Last Epoch. Moving on, the UI of Last Epoch has been a problem and it's unfortunately not getting really much better with time. There are numerous issues I have encountered in the game with the UI. First, often when crafting and choosing the affixes, tooltips start to go crazy. They persistently show items descriptions or the window with affixes just decides to close. Other times, item descriptions don't pop up after launching the game until I change the loot filter for some reason. Or sometimes the skill descriptions decide to go on a break. Furthermore, sometimes you will also get FPS drop caused by quickly checking many item descriptions for dropped items. It's really weird and something I have noticed only recently, so I'm not sure if it's a new problem or I just didn't get that much loot in the past, I don't know. Also, some options don't correctly tick in the menu or just flat out don't work at all. Whatever I do, I just cannot turn on show live above the character in my game. UI therefore is a really annoying part of Last Epoch experience. Where it should be a helpful tool, it becomes often an obstacle I have to overcome in the game, and that's a sign of a lackluster UI performance. Instead of enhancing my experience and allowing me to understand the game better, UI often makes me pull my hair out. And lastly, let's talk about the way statistics are displayed in Last Epoch, which need some refinement going forward. On the first glance, the stats visible in Last Epoch are vast, detailed, and quite understandable, right? But when you play the game more, you realize it's not all that great. First, figuring out your DPS is not as simple as you would like it to be. This is because some skills tooltips just don't show DPS at all. I get why some abilities can't do that. Take for instance Invocation with Runemaster, when it's built to cast random spell. But in other cases it should not be difficult for developers to give us estimated value, like for Chaos Bolts that currently do not show it at all. And then we have some stats that just simply are not being displayed at all in our character stats sheets, like chance to apply frailty, damage types, penetrations, or statistics related to channeling skills. I also would love to see a split of stats on the tooltip. Say my Necro-based Warlock has 888% of Necro damage. Show me the source of this damage boost in a table with the split to items, passives, idols, you get the point, so that I understand which parts of my build contribute to that damage. This would make judgment calls on what to replace or what to focus on to improve in your build much easier. You may think that this last point is a little bit of a nitpicking, but remember that items and stats are the core and integral part of the gameplay in ARPGs. We should always look for ways to make our decisions around the loot and character building easier. Of course, some gaming communities resort to modding or external applications to deal with inefficiencies present within the game. But I would love the developers of Last Epoch to put in the work with the UI and statistics to ensure that we don't have to fully rely on fans of the game to fix the problems created by developers. So, this is my list of 5 things that I wish 11th hour games improve going forward in Last Epoch. How about your experience with the game? Which aspects of Last Epoch bother you? What systems or inefficiencies you'd like to see improved? If you enjoyed this video, then I suggest you check my review of Last Epoch, where I focus more on positives of the game, discussing what makes it so damn good and why I think it's a fantastic entry to the ARPG scene. Anyway, that's all from me in this video. Thanks for your time and I'll see you in the next one.